Hello, TBR fans. Welcome to this episode of Talking About Rock. I'm your host, Rob Edwards in Buffalo. My co-host, Gerry Schmitz in Nashville. Let's catch up with him. Gerry, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you, Rob?
Excellent, excellent. You're a busy man out there. What's been happening?
Well, we had the big Rolling Stones this weekend on Saturday night, and I got all the way up to the pit around the 9th or 10th row, and got to see Mick strut on the catwalk. They played a 19-song set, did 19th Nervous Breakdown. Keith came out, did Connection from the Between the Buttons album from 1967. It was just a great show all the way around, and everybody had positive things to say about it when it was all said and done.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I saw some of the footage. My question, though, is did they play Brown Sugar? That's been going around the internet lately.
They did not. I guess Mick has become politically correct, so to speak, and apparently, I guess some of the quote sisters find that song to be offensive, and I guess I can agree with them a little bit if you listen to the lyrics. But there's plenty of other Stone songs to choose from, of course, and their catalog is pretty vast and endless. So omitting Brown Sugar, I guess, is no big deal when there's so many other choices.
True. They are an excellent band, and we have another excellent band here with us tonight. They are paying tribute to the legendary, iconic Judas Priest. Please welcome to the show from Call for the Priest, Nate, Tony, and Larry. How's it going, guys?
Hi, guys.
How you doing? Howdy.
Hey, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it so much. You know, I got to catch you guys way back at Rock in Buffalo. I think it was in May. It was one of the first shows that I went to that things were starting to open up again. And you guys put on an amazing show, I must say. You know, everybody was spot on. You know, it sounded great to me, it really did. You know, so I guess my first question is maybe to all of you. You know, why do we think of coming? You know, paying tribute to one of the most difficult, but one of the most greatest metal bands, Judas Priest. How did that come about?
Well, it all came about when I heard this guy recording of him singing Painkiller. And from there, it was just, I got to do this. And we got together, put it together, and yeah, there's no doubt about it. With him singing it, it's just spot on.
Definitely. I would agree. Nat, your voice was great. You know, I've seen you perform with other acts too. It sounded amazing. Do you do some vocal training, or have you been singing for a while, or?
This is actually my first band, like, to go out. I've jammed with other stuff, and we never made it out of the practice phase because people just kept skipping rehearsals, or people would get fired at the rehearsals. And then I just I washed my hands of this. But I was a bass player at the time for that. So this is the first singing band. The singing stuff, as far as training, not necessarily. My dad would give me some tips on breathing and where the voice is, the vibration is, whether you head voice or chest voice. And funny enough, him and I would trade off back and forth singing Queensryche songs. And we added some Halford tunes and Priest tunes and Maiden and stuff like that. And we would just, okay, who gets a song, and then who gets to take a breather while the other guy gets to sing, and, you know, learning from that. And he actually runs my my vocal effects now. I don't trust a normal sound guy to do it. The Halford's effects are an instrument on their own, so they need a dedicated person for that.
Right. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So how did it feel? Training. Yeah. So how did it feel putting on the gear for the first time, you know, putting on the leather and the studs and going out there? How did that feel the first time? Did you feel like, you know, it gave you that extra, you know, this is metal?
It was embarrassing.
It took me a long time to get him to do it. He didn't want to do it. He was all embarrassed and shy and didn't want to do it. And then when he finally did, now he won't even think about doing it.
No, it's a character at this point. You feel naked without it. Even the man himself says he feels wrong without a couple of cows on, and that's no joke. Once you put that on, you are that person, and you're somebody else, and you go from there. So once that takes over, the acting kicks in, and I mean, yeah, at first it was embarrassing because you had the shin guards and the arm guards and the stretchy pants that don't hide anything and the vest that just doesn't quite feel right. And now we're 2 other costume sets in, and chaps and a vest and studs and spikes. And one of the more recent vests we only used once because the lining wasn't the best and was kind of chafing a little bit on the inside. So it's you got to edit the stuff. But all the costumes Tony made, everything by hand.
Oh, nice.
So we went from there. This is his baby and what he wants to do and his idea, and everything is as close to what Priest wears as we can get supplied. Really, sometimes there's not enough studs.
we, we hear that from a lot of the bands that we interview. They make their own costumes and save a lot of money doing it. If you were to buy all that leather and all those studs from a store, I'm sure it would probably run you close to $1,000 or more.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I do buy all my leather and studs from someone here locally.
But to get it made by
to have it made is what really has it, is what really where the cost is.
I mean, just to guess, just for part of the costume I wear now, I must have thrown at least $500 in. Just for the most recent outfit, not counting the other 2 of what he's done. And he makes them for every person in the band. So gotta imagine the cost. And mine's the most elaborate, obviously, because I got the trench coat and all that stuff too. But I mean,
thousands.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got
You got the
Gerry with his
elaborate
purple
gear,
stripe in his
definitely.
pants.
Well, you have to. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Halford has that dress, has that swagger, has that look, and you portray that very well, I must say. Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. So, next question for Larry. So, how did you join these guys, and how did you join this outfit of metal tribute?
So, me and my wife, we went out to see them perform their first debut gig, and they had one of the local radio announcers announce the band before they went on and all this and that, and like I was just blown away. I was totally blown away by Nat's voice, the look of the band, just in everything. And yeah, it was just cool. I mean, we stayed the whole night, 2 full sets of music. I was into it, and then unfortunately the drummer ended up passing away. And I was like, oh wow, man, that sucks, but then a couple months later, my wife seen that they were going to start auditions. So she's real tech savvy, she got online or whatever and got a hold of them, got me Tony's number, and he was just like, all right, you want to come down? Here's our set list, but you got to be able to play Painkiller and this and that and the other thing. And so I came down, jammed, and then I got the phone call the next day. That was kind of it.
Nice. So Tony, what did you think when he came in audition? Were you like, this is the guy, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he nailed everything dead on. When I first talked to him, I gave him the list. I asked him, I said, so what on that list do you know you want to try? And he's like, oh, whatever you want. And this is a list of like 30 Judas Priest songs. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this guy might not. He sounds pretty cocky. Come to find out, he's a hardcore Priest fan, so he does know everything on that.
He was backing up what he said, right?
Yes, so yeah, and when we just clicked, when we talked, we all got together and we all just gelled personality wise, and yeah, it was it.
Larry played Painkiller with 1 foot.
Yes, that's enough. I forgot about that
He
too.
played
With 1 foot, you said?
1 foot.
Yeah, I was never a double bass guy. I was playing stuff off of Unleashed in the East as a teenager with a single kick. And then I was, furthered myself back when I was playing metal like that. When I was younger, I'm trying to play like Vinnie Paul from Pantera and Dave Lombardo from Slayer, but doing it with one kick pedal, And then I told Tony, I'm like, because he's like, you got to learn the intro to Painkiller, and you got to know the outro, and you got to play the whole song. And I'm like, okay, no problem. So I learned it, and I mean, it's not perfect as far as what the consistency is with 2 feet going, but I nailed everything enough to where they let me join the band. But then since then, obviously, I got the 2 kick drums now with the full set and all that stuff. And I had to teach myself for this band how to play drums. And that started with Nat wanting to do in more recent years now, Judas Rising. And there's no way you're going to use like a floor tom and 1 kick. You know, it just doesn't have the same effect. You need 2 feet. So it's been a huge learning curve for me to try and capture Scott Travis's stuff.
Right.
But it does make it easier when you're playing songs like Exciter and anything off the Painkiller album and, you know, stuff like that to use 2 feet, which is why everybody had 2 bass drums back then, right? So
Yeah.
you know, but it's been a really wild ride with this band. And I'm just a huge Judas Priest fan. I've been listening to Priest since probably since either British Steel came out or Point of Entry. I mean, my brother's 9 years older than me, and he's the one that got me into music. So I was always around that stuff, and it left a big impression on me. And then, you know, getting into my teenage years, discovering all their 70s music, and I'm just like, man, this band is awesome. So yeah, it's almost like it was meant to be, you know.
To add to that,
we love him
Larry
too.
was the first and only audition.
Well, he blew you away from the get-go. That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. As soon as he came in, we went, that's it. We're done. We don't need anybody else.
Yeah, we canceled everything else after that.
Nice. That had to make you
Wow.
feel good too, Larry. You're like, yeah, those guys in the wings waiting and they're out of here.
Well, I didn't know that. I mean, Tony
Well,
kept a good poker face and was
Right.
just
But
like,
now you know. Now you
yeah,
know.
now,
so
yeah, right.
that had to make you feel great. I mean,
Yeah, it was cool, man. I was psyched to be in a band. I still am. I still totally am, man. I mean, and when we get on stage, I mean, hell, the last gig we played was Rapids the last one. I think Rapids
It was
Theater
Rock
was
in
the last
Buffalo, but
gig.
Rapids was in March. Rapids was March.
Yeah, I don't
Rapids
We
was
played Rock
March.
in Buffalo
Okay.
in May.
All right, yeah. So I mean, when we played Rapids Theater in Niagara Falls, we had people from like 4 different states there that came up that wanted to see this band, and it's just like, cool, man. You know, so we got to be doing something right, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
you guys haven't played since March? That was
No,
March?
Last time we played, I think, was May, at
Was
least
May.
for a full-on public show. We played Rock Camp in July. We have a show at the Montage in Rochester next week.
we played. Well,
And
no,
then
we played
have
House of
another-
Guitars.
Yeah, we played House of Guitars. That's true.
That's yeah.
Place is still
That was
around?
Yes, it is.
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're still packing
We
it
actually
in
had a
there.
fairly decent crowd for something that wasn't promoted at all.
Brothers still
There was
alive?
barely anything.
Yeah,
They said, are the brothers still alive that own that place?
yeah. The one is.
Yeah, just
I don't know. I don't go there that often.
yeah. So as we are both big Judas Priest fans too, and we know that, you know, there's such a huge catalog of Priest tunes to do. So I guess this question is for Tony. So how do you decide on what you think the band should cover, and are you going to be looking at doing some of the new stuff?
we all decide on that. And yes, we do cover everything from at least one song from every album. That's part of we try to do that for every show. You know, Nat usually picks the list that we play for the night. You know, but we all decide and pick and choose songs. There, like you said, there's such a vast
Oh,
catalog.
absolutely.
We never learn.
What's your favorite song from Judas Priest to play?
Oh God.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the drumming on Sin After Sin album. So whenever we get to play Sinner, it's always a huge challenge for me. But I also like doing stuff off of what the hell, Screaming for Vengeance or anything off, you know, Unleashed in the East, really.
Yeah, I think that's when they hit their big commercial stride with Screaming. I was a big fan of British Steel. That really thought that kind of got their name finally out there to the masses. You know, obviously they had great stuff before that, you know, but I think British Steel kind of like made you stand up and take notice. But when Screaming for Vengeance came out, I remember everybody playing that album all summer long of '82.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, definitely.
And I believe they came to
Favorite songs, I
Buffalo.
would say, favorite songs, I would say I'm really fond of Blood Red Skies from Ram It Down. Larry doesn't like it too much because we have a click track for the keyboards.
I
But
like it.
it's
It's a
just-
good tune, man.
It's just such an emotive song, and the vocal range is all over the place when it comes to the low stuff and whispering, and you get a big growl in there, and then you have clean singing and rough singing, and it soars by the end of it. The climax of the song is just intense, and that's one that hasn't gone away. I mean, we don't play it every show, depending if we have, tracks or something like that, if we want a simple show, but something like that, Tony gets to use his Taurus pedals on, doesn't just have to play bass. And
Yeah.
it's a blast, and that's one I really fond of wearing the trench coat for, because it just feels like that kind of more. I know it's from 1988, but it's that more modern feeling looking Priest to me, and I love that one. I saw them play that last month in Ohio, and it was wonderful.
Do you guys do Victim of Changes?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Have to. I don't think there's a show we played where we haven't played that. It's one we're not allowed to cut. There's certain songs in the set list that we have to have, and we might trim one or two here and there depending the gig, but we tend to keep the usual standards in, and then after that it's just the sugar on top for the hardcores that come and hear something like White Heat Red Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say that song's gotta be their magnum opus.
Yeah.
That's such an iconic song for them. Definitely. You can't cut that one. Definitely.
So what do you guys think about Richie Faulkner having that aorta rupture in
God,
Louisville?
that's craziness.
Were you guys holding tickets for any shows?
I saw them last month, and that was my 5th time seeing Priest in the last 3 years, roughly 3-4 years. Saw them 4 times on Firepower, and the one time this tour. And Richie was not as animated as he had been. Granted, this was a couple weeks before anything happened, but he just seemed a little out of it. Like not quite all there, not the fist pumping and the singing and getting the crowd into it. He seemed like he was just going through the show and trying to make it through. And then after the heart thing happened, I mean, reading what happened to him, the man should be dead.
Oh, I know. He got so lucky.
Yeah, big time.
They were supposed to come here on October 21st, and of course they're not. And certainly a lot of us are a little depressed about that. I was looking forward to seeing that one. Would have been next week.
Oof.
So hopefully he'll be on the mend, and we'll have those guys back on tour again sometime, probably the middle of next year at the I would think.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll reschedule Nashville. That's a big city, I was watching actually a little bit of coverage with his doctor, and they had an interview with him like right from his bed and stuff like that. Real trooper, amazing guy. You know what I mean? So question for all of you though. So there's the big debate now, right? So it's either Judas Priest or KK's Priest. You guys want to weigh in on that at all? He's got some awesome tunes that are out for sure.
I've listened to KK's Priest. I would say the nice way to put it is yeah, it's real hard to do because it's kind of cheesy at times, but it's nice to hear Ken play again. It's nice to hear Ripper with something Priest again. There are a couple good songs on that record that I'm looking forward to seeing live when they inevitably tour. On the whole, I don't think it really compares to anything that Judas Priest has done in the last few years. I mean, Firepower is astounding with how consistent and good that is. And some of the stuff on Sermons of the Sinner, at least in my opinion, borderline kind of weak, because Tim doesn't write lyrics. So Ken wrote the lyrics. And we all know when KK was in the band, Rob wrote the lyrics. So it shows.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Larry, you want to weigh in on that at all?
I haven't heard KK stuff. As far as Firepower, I think Firepower is the best Judas Priest album, especially showcasing Scott Travis's diversity around the kit. I think it's the best album since Painkiller, to be honest with you. So, but again, I can't really compare because I haven't heard the KK stuff.
Do you guys think there's any metal bands in comparison coming close to them, or young bands coming up that might have the same type of longevity they've had at all? I don't even see that type of thing happening anymore.
I don't see anything changing or making a mark like Priest had. It's all, there's a lot of bands out there that'll last just as long.
Yeah, it's just at that point, it'll be they're good, and then the comparison to their influences.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Both the Bare Naked Ladies, it's all been done.
Right.
You have the first, and then the next guys that come out covered in leather, you go, okay, that's cool. Or if you get a band with lyrics that borderline goofy, I always say they sound like Manowar or something like that, because you have the initial things that have certain sounds to them, and then you get bands that sound like other bands. Like Greta Van Fleet got so much crap for sounding like Zeppelin, which what can you do if you're playing that style of music? You're gonna sound like somebody. You have to sound like somebody.
Yeah, there's always going to be
There's anything wrong with it.
No, there's always going to be comparisons. Definitely, there's always going to be. And the other thing I always think about too is two of the best metal bands. And you have a picture, one of them back there behind you there, Larry. Iron Maiden versus Judas Priest. I don't even know if that's a contest. They both have their own unique sound and style. Just amazing guitar players, amazing songs, amazing singers.
And they both toured together as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Priest and the Beast tour. I'll never forget this. My brother was 14, so I would have been 5. And he came home from school and he's like, Mom, I got to get tickets for this concert. You don't understand. I have to go. It's Iron Maiden with Bruce Dickinson opening up for Judas Priest. My mother didn't know nothing about these bands.
Right.
He just kept pestering her. And we're talking about back then, tickets might have been like $10 a piece.
$7.50.
Yeah, right. Like something cheap. And she just wouldn't give him the money. Well, he wouldn't leave her alone. She was in a bad mood washing the dishes, and she had a cast iron frying pan in her hand. And
Sounds like
my
a
brother
problem.
got a cast iron frying pan in his face, and we had to go to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Wait for him to get stitches on his lip. But needless to say, he got to go to the show. She gave him the money for the tickets after the fact because she felt guilty. And he brought me home a concert T-shirt, and it was a Screaming for Vengeance tour concert T-shirt. And unfortunately, I don't know what the hell I did with that, and I'm so mad that I don't have that shirt anymore. But yeah, he said it was one of the greatest shows he ever seen.
Was that the show in Buffalo?
Yeah, at the Odd, yeah. And,
I remember wanting to go see that so bad myself. Screaming for Vengeance and the Number of the Beast. Oh my God, how could you miss it? I was at home too, saying, "Oh my God!" I was recording. I think they played some of it live on the radio a little bit, and I recorded some, and I was just kicking myself because I didn't have any money to go. I was too young and just couldn't.
Now, didn't the two bands get together on another tour and play the Niagara Falls Convention Center?
That was an earlier tour.
That was with Paul, right?
Yeah, that was with Paul
that would have been
Di'Anno.
with Di'Anno.
That was the
You
one
guys
that
are
I
allowed to
saw.
talk about this. I wasn't even an itch in my daddy's pants.
So we're talking around 81 then?
80, 81 would have
That
been.
was
Yeah.
no, I think it was 79.
No, Maiden came out. The first Maiden album was
80.
80.
Yeah, it was
so It
80.
would have been. I think it would have been Killer, so it would have been 81.
Was it 81?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the
I think
first
Killer's-
album they were touring with Kiss, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were touring with
Okay.
Kiss.
Yeah, I was mixing it up with the Kiss tour. Yeah.
Yeah, the
But
Kiss tour was.
Earlier 70.
Yeah,
Nine.
the Kiss tour was Unleashed in the East.
Yeah.
Is the Killing Machine tour for
Yeah.
Dynasty. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just have to say those are probably the most two iconic metal bands. Just and it's so great to see them still alive and still putting out new songs. Maiden's got a new album out. Priest has got new stuff out. It's so awesome to see that they can still do that. They can still perform. Good. It's still
Well,
a great show.
Speaking of that, we do have a show coming up with one of the local Iron Maiden tribute bands, 2 Minutes to Maiden, doing a dual header coming up. When
January 15th at the Rapids Theater in the Falls, we're doing it. I think it's the first time in the 9 years the 2 Minutes to Maiden has been together that they've ventured up to the Falls. And they only play maybe one show a year, maybe two. And to have them share one of those days with us, we want to do something special with them. Because I feel like that kind of show would be a draw for a lot of people that want to get their fix of that kind of music.
Yeah,
I mean,
how could you resist a Priest and Maiden show?
Yeah, I just saw that recently posted. I was intrigued by that. That's like almost like a redo from the old days. Like, oh man, I can catch this, and I missed the other one.
We thought about I thought about mentioning it to them, like, let's redo the 82 show, but for a band that's been around longer than us, I didn't think it was fair to cut them to an opening time slot. So we're gonna
Besides that, it limits
it limits our material
their
to
first
just
3 records. for
and
them,
it limits
And
our
then-
material up to Vengeance too. I mean,
And you got to play stuff off of Painkiller. We can't just cut it off at 82. There's people
No,
that
you
like,
can't.
No, we did that
Yeah.
once. We did that, no, twice. We did the entire Unleashed in the East show for the anniversary one time. And I
That's
mean, like, we
right.
looked up the set list for the gig and played the stuff that didn't make the record.
Oh,
And then
how
our
fun.
what was that?
I said that sounds pretty fun.
yeah,
That
it
was great.
cool.
We minimized the costumes. We kept it to just that stuff. We played things that we'd never played again, like Take on the World,
Yeah.
for a good reason.
Didn't go well, I
because
guess.
of-
I said that one didn't go well.
Well,
Just it's not necessarily fun. You get one guitar playing. Tony doesn't play anything. It's a big sing along that people don't want to sing along to.
Yeah.
Judas Priest had a bad habit of writing anthems that didn't get anthemic. You Take on the World, and you had United, and you had Defenders of the
Defenders
Faith,
of
and
the
it
Faith.
never caught on.
Yeah.
They kept trying and it didn't work. They kept looking for their rock and roll all night. But that brings me back to the Unleashed in the East show we did. We did that, and our friends in Kiss This wanted to do a Dynasty show, specifically that material. Now they ventured off a little bit after, but they had us open for them, and we played the set that Priest played in '79 opening for Kiss. So it was a real interesting, fun night that we played the 10-song '79 set, and then they came out and they did the Dynasty show and played stuff. I don't remember. Did they do Charisma that night? I
Yeah,
think
that's
they
on
did.
Dynasty.
Yeah, they did quite a bit.
Yeah, so that was a good time.
Yeah,
It's
we
fun
talked
playing
to,
dress up.
John Jeffries of Kiss This
Yeah,
We've-
so
on another show. He's a hey.
so now
I
you've
love
been
that guy.
involved in some other projects with Kiss This and helped and sang on some songs for their Buffalo Rock City. Tell us a little bit about that.
They wanted me to do the Vinnie Vincent Invasion song Back on the Streets, and I am not very familiar with that style of music. Obviously, as a bald guy, I'm not too into hair metal in a way, but I mean, you guys had hair at some point, so you could have been into that, but
Yes, we
I
are
always
we are
avoided
very
that.
much
Granted,
into
I
hair
like
metal
that.
in the day. Yes, very.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. I mean, some of it I grew up with because my mom was a fan of that stuff. We got a lot of Bon Jovi and Def Leppard and stuff in the house, and I love Def Leppard. Bon Jovi I can pass on. But as far as the tribute thing, he mentioned what it was for, and you can't say no to a charity thing. That's just rude, and it's a great cause and helping those kids. And when we did the video for it, it was nice to actually have a number of how many people that were helped from the sales of the CD up to that point. But they had they wanted me and my uncle Brad Peace, who was in Dead 80s Hair Band, and he was in Sucker Punch for a long time. He was in Breakaway for a little bit. He won Best Guitar Player in Buffalo at the Nightlife Awards a few times. And we had never done anything together. So John wanted us to be on the same track, me on vocals and Brad on bass and guitar. And something came up where Brad had only gotten the bass track done, so they got Gene Schmidt to do the guitar. But it's still my Uncle Brad on the bass track, and he was in the video. But I think part of what John wanted is that he knew someone that could sing that high and needed a person to take that role on the record. And I did it. It was about a 4-hour session. It came out great. I had a lot of people talk to me since then saying it's nice to hear you sound like you and not trying to put on a voice in the Priest band in a way, which I mean, you have to when you're playing another person. But it was good. It was fun. It was nice to do it live. It was nice to meet one of you two there at the show and do that in front of people and just help those people out. I was there when they gave the check to the charity at the Rapids Theater when Kiss This played there, and it's just a feel-good thing. I think they wanted me back on at least one song for the next one that they were planning.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. It was great to see you perform at the. Yeah, it was great to see you perform at Music is Art. That was great to see that they did some of that stuff live, and we're waiting for the next one because we really like what he did with this one, definitely. So you guys touched on it a little bit, but I don't know if you want to go through it again. Any of the dates that you got coming up, just so everybody knows what's happening and where to catch you.
We really only have the two right now. We don't tend to book too far in advance or bunch up. We all have other projects. Tony has the teasers, and you got something new coming, and Larry has 1980 something. So we got to black out certain spots here and there. And whatever Larry's in, he's in 12 bands.
Not that crazy.
And but we have what is it, the 22nd, next Friday at the Montage Theater in Rochester. It'll be our third time playing Rochester in total, and the second time at the Montage. The first time we were there was a blizzard, and we still packed it, so it was nice.
Oh, terrific.
And
Rochester fans are hardcore.
Yeah, it was an absolute disaster to try and park, and my car got stuck, and we got everything working out. And driving home, you can't see the lines on the road, but people came to that show, and that room was full. And I'm looking forward to it next week to have people that don't drive out to Buffalo to come see us, to be like, oh, hometown thing. Rochester's music scene is fantastic. And then the other one we have is the show with 2 Minutes to Maiden. We'll be having equal set lengths. I think we will be the second one on because we tend to have a bit more of the stage show when it comes to the amps and things on stage, but I'm hoping we can talk them into something special like swapping singers for a song or something like that. That's on January 15th, Rapids Theater in Niagara Falls. And that's pretty much all we have on the books for the time being for Call for the Priest. I'm looking forward to see where we go after that when it comes to if we can get out of Buffalo again, or if we're going to play another local gig at our typical Rocket Buffalo club, because Mike keeps hounding us for a date.
Can't get away from it.
It's home base.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that show with 2 minutes with both of you with 2 minutes to Maiden. That sounds
cool.
amazing. Definitely. I got to get back out to Rochester. I haven't seen a show out there in quite a while. We got to get Gerry back out here to see some shows at some point too. And I got to make my way out there in Nashville. And there's so much going on out there. It's just,
Yeah, you would love
crazy.
it.
It's just crazy. If folks want to know more about you guys, is there a website to go to, or where say check you out?
And Tony.
Well, they can find us on Facebook, or I do believe, I'm not sure if the site is up and running yet. Call for the Priest, WNY.com.
Yep, it's up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Larry's wife is put it up there, and she's trying to put it together and running it for us, so it should be up and running.
Cool.
All right.
Well, I do got my official Priest gear with me. Call for the Priest gear with me.
Very
So
cool.
Terrific.
I got that
Well,
one
next
next to you
time-
guys the first time. So.
Next time you come out to the show, we'll make sure you get t-shirts.
Oh, that would be awesome, man. Hopefully we'll have more of ours like Gerry is wearing there. We'll be able to give you guys also.
I'll wear
some
one.
shirts,
I'll
you
wear
know,
one
Sure.
for sure.
you know, and
Cool, man.
but it's been awesome talking with you. Really appreciate you taking the time to, talk Priests and join
Yeah,
our show.
definitely.
We're always looking to talk to local acts and seeing what's going on, and playing tribute to one of the metal gods is no small feat, definitely.
So what about the analog kids? Do we want to talk about the Rush side of things here a little bit, or?
I
No, not yet.
I think we're going to
Not
leave
yet.
that for
We're,
another show.
Yeah, we'll do it on another one because I don't want to kick Tony out of the thing because this is his
Yeah.
baby.
We're going to do that on another show. So
Cool.
look for that coming up with some of these guys for the Analog Kids. That'll be a Rush tribute band interview we'll have coming up. But we hope you've enjoyed this interview. And if you want to hear more from us and you have comments or feedback, please email us at talkingaboutrock@gmail.com. Like us and follow us on Facebook. And as always, please check out these interviews and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
So what's
Gentlemen,
on
thank
the
you so much.
calendar this weekend, Robert?
coming up this weekend for me.
Yeah.
I really don't have a lot of shows coming up this weekend that I have booked at this point. So I'm kind of still looking at things going on. So I don't have booked. What do you have going on out there?
Well, we got the Music City Stones once again doing the Stones tribute with Rick St. James. He is a Rod Stewart look-alike, actually.
Wow.
He's going to be bringing a great band to play along with the Music City Stones at Hop Springs out in Murfreesboro, which is about a half hour outside of Nashville. And then we got another show in Murfreesboro on Saturday night with Symptom of the Universe, a Black Sabbath cover band, as well as Eruption, a Van Halen cover band, opening up for those guys. So that should be a pretty
Right.
double
Excellent.
bill.
Excellent. Yeah. Symptom reached out to us, Gerry. Let's see if we can maybe talk to them or any of those guys. You got so much going on in Nashville. Let's see who else we can bring on board and talk to them as well. But it's been awesome speaking with you guys. We really appreciate it joining the show tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you guys
definitely.
for having us.
Great to meet you guys.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And we'll see you
Keep
out
on
there.
rocking.
Yeah, we'll see you out there
See
calling
y'all
for the
soon.
priest.
Cool. Thank you.
See ya.
Good night, guys.